The Kansas City Chiefs host the Tennessee Titans for Sunday Night Football. With both teams being 5-2, this should be a good one, right? Come on now. We know the Chiefs are going to look good as always, but let's knock on some wood. However, let's go ahead and see why they should win this game. All right. So, of course, my name is Anthony from On the Block Sports Chiefs. You can find me on Twitter. I'm going to go ahead and post that here. My Twitter handle is Anthony D. Hatton 2. And I know it needs some work, but it was kind of limited at that point, and I'm just stuck with it. I'm rolling with it, so it is what it is. And let's go ahead and see here. Oh, you can also catch some of my writing on Arrowhead Addict. So go ahead and I'm going to put that in the description for my Twitter handle. And also just check out Arrowhead Addict because it's the dopest, the best crew, the best team of people that are just down to earth. You can go ahead and check out their podcast before games, after games, during the week. I'm not quite involved in that area, but I'm part of the team, at least on the internet writing. So they're all cool, down to earth people, and follow them on Twitter also. Now, the game for Sunday Night Football. Of course, we all know Andy Reid's history following a bye week. He's 20-3 since he started coaching in Philadelphia back in the days. I believe it was 1999. But that means we have history on our side. Andy Reid is just a phenomenal coach when it comes to that. Getting the guys focused, not too distracted during the bye week, getting them a chance to heal. And I think that's an important thing for the Chiefs, who are going to be bringing back Trent McDuffie, along with Lucas Niang. We don't know exactly what his reps will look like, but it's important to know that people who could make a difference are going to be practicing, have been practicing, and that also includes Kadarius Toney. More on that in just a little bit here. So the last matchup, Tennessee Titans last year, the Chiefs, they lost an ugly game, 27-3. And although it wasn't really Derrick Henry, he had under 100 yards rushing. He had 3 yards per carry, was not pretty on his end, but they still beat the snot out of Kansas City. And that was whenever the Chiefs started off shaky last year. But it also was the turning point. As you remember, if you can remember, the Chiefs went on a heck of a run last year. They had a shaky start. I think they started 3-4, and then they went on a magnificent run after that. Ended up resulting to the Bengals in the conference finals. So I think the Chiefs, as I think Patrick Mahomes also mentioned in his press conference, they have this one marked on the calendars, I believe. It was an ugly loss last year, and it turned the season around. It's one of the only teams that really embarrassed Kansas City in last season's memory. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this. Kadarius Toney, the shiny toy. The Chiefs didn't make a move on the trade deadline day, but beforehand they did acquire Kadarius Toney for the compensational third-round pick and a later draft pick as well. But what was important to me is Kadarius Toney, other than his initial tweet that got deleted about being healthy, it seems like he's down and eager to join a winning culture. He sounded happy and eager, as I just mentioned, for the opportunity in Kansas City. No longer going to be at Florida or New York. And I think that'll help him a lot and just be focused. In everything he said, I do want to mention this quote here. He was asked during his initial press conference, do you like returning punts? Which is a hot topic. Scott Moore has not looked good at all at returning punts. 2 different games. I'm not even going to get into that, but he has not looked good. And it reared its ugly head again. So the hot topic with Kadarius Toney is, will he be the man going forward? He was asked, do you like returning punts? And his response was grounded. He said, I like returning them, but like I said, whatever my role is, that is what I'm open to do. I can't really say I'm this or that. And he said other things during his press conference, such as, I'm just trying to fit in, trying to learn, which is magnificent because Dave Toub, the special team coach, he was also non-committal, although he only had 1 good practice session, I think, at this point when he gave his weekly press conference. But he did say that Sky Moore will still be in the mix, and he'll still be one of the guys, which means that Kadarius Toney, Mecole might even be sprinkled back in there, and then some other people. I don't want to see Trent McDuffie back there at all. Let him be the full-time starter at corner. But Toub also said that he mentioned already, because he did his homework pre-draft last year and a little bit already in this practice week, that Toney has great vision. That goes as far as catching punts and catching kicks. He also has the make you miss ability, which is amazing because as a punt returner, you absolutely need that. You got to have hands, you got to have the make you miss ability. And Dave Toub also mentioned that he can return the kicks and punts while reading the coverage, how the blocking is supposed to be going, and he can actually follow the lead on the blockings, and he's natural for that role. I think, without saying it, he was also taking a little bit of a way of wanting to say that he's natural at it. That was something that Sky Moore, of course, they forced him into being the punt returner. And Kadarius Toney, he'll get a couple of opportunities probably early in the first couple weeks. I think he'll actually man that role going forward because he won't be the man at wide receiver. There's a whole crew of them. Andy Reid he's very tempered. He also had a quick response. I think he's just ready for the game to start. He said, I appreciate his effort. He's a fast learner, and he's got a couple of things in for him already, which is amazing. And I wonder if this game will get to see some of that. Now, Eric Bieniemy, after just 1 practice session, mentioned chemistry. That is going to be really the key. I think he was asked a lot more than anybody else, but he's offensive coordinator. I would imagine that to happen. He lauded Toney's smarts and his physical abilities. They're just figuring out ways to implement him as everybody sees his physical gifts. Even Patrick Mahomes stated so in his press conference. Now, the biggest thing I noted from my takeaway was that he is healthy. Apparently, he had 2 bummed hamstrings when he was in New York. Then he comes to Kansas City and he's just healthy. Voila, I'm down for it. Let's go ahead and keep him healthy if we can. Now, the big matchup, the 2 superstars, Derrick Henry versus Patrick Mahomes. Derrick Henry, he's 3rd in yards in the league in rushing. He's also 3rd in touchdowns. He averages over 750 yards rushing. I'm sorry, forgive me on that. I don't know what I was saying there. He has over 750 yards rushing, not averaging. That would be just like, anyways. And he has 7 touchdowns on the season. Now, the Chiefs' defense, which I was completely surprised at, they are 2nd best as far as rushing yards allowed goes. And also, they're 2nd best as far as touchdowns rushed allowed. They only allow 644 yards rushing, and they've only allowed 3 touchdowns so far this season. Now, that is because they pick up a lot of yards. They've been scoring a lot. Other teams are forced then to pass the ball, but it's still something I was surprised to see. The Titans, which are coached by Mike Vrabel, amazing linebacker in his day, just a great sound coach. He's going to get the best out of his defense. They're the only team better than the Chiefs in those categories. Now, that covers the Derrick Henry side of things and how he faces the Chiefs. Let's go ahead and flip that around. Patrick Mahomes, who is leading the league with 20 passing touchdowns, second in QBR, fourth in passing yards. Patrick Mahomes has engineered the league's highest scoring offense at almost 32 points per game, and no other team, not even the Bills, no other team has even 30 yards scoring. Sorry, not even 30 points scored per game. That is magnificent. So he's engineered the best offense in the league, and I think that's not even something you can debate. But the Titans, they're top 10 in points allowed. They only allow, I think, 19.7, so they're under 20 points allowed per game. But this is the matchup they really don't want to see. They also allow one of the worst in the passing yards. So they only give up less than 20 points per game, but they give up a lot of passing yards. Patrick Mahomes is the foe you don't want to go against because he's probably going to bump that up even more. Now, we talked about Derrick Henry, we talked about Andy Reid, we talked about Mike Vrabel. Now, Kadarius Toney, maybe he'll get sprinkled in. I think we might see him a little bit this game because I'm expecting the Chiefs to go ahead and romp the Titans. They have a little bit of bulletin board material because you got defensive linemen talking smack. We already seen how that went when the Buccaneers did the same. The Chiefs will probably come out fired up. They don't like how last season they got smacked against the Titans. Now, Derrick Henry is the only offensive weapon for the Titans, which means they're not going to get far. The Chiefs are going to focus on that, force Ryan Tannehill or Malik to be the passing quarterback, which we know the Titans are not a passing team at all. They don't have any weapons to pass to either. The Chiefs should also continue to be the highest scoring team, and I think they might bump up their average again. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes after a bye week, you don't want to face that. So, clearly, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and choose the Chiefs. My prediction will probably be 37-17. That sounds fitting. And I just want to go ahead and say thank you for tuning in. My name is Anthony once again from On the Block Sports Chiefs.